am Shiva Agarwal and topic of our project is AI in healthcare. So these are my team members. Overview of our project is as follow. I will be starting with the introduction part and then my friend will be continuing to literature survey and aspect of AI in healthcare industry and what are the current models that are in practice for the healthcare domain and what is the future role of AI in healthcare. Let us now introduce ourselves to what is AI in the healthcare industry. So firstly, the question comes in our mind. So what is an AI? So in simple sense, what we can say is that AI is when the computer and the other machines mimic the human cognition and are capable of learning, thinking and making decisions or taking actions. AI in healthcare uses the machine to analyze and act on medical data with the goal of predicting a particular outcome. A significant use of AI in healthcare is when the machine learning and other cognitive disciplines are used for medical diagnostic purpose. Basically, we are using the patient data and other information. AI can help the doctors and medical providers deliver more accurate diagnostic and the treatment plans. In our future slides, we are going to look at the rise of artificial intelligence in healthcare and how they are changing the way of physicians doing their job and how to use AI in healthcare to support the medical professional, how AI is improving clinical practice for patient care and helping doctors to take a better decision. How AI research and development in healthcare provides pharmaceutical companies AI-based medical equipments procedures that go beyond the diagnostic and the treatment. IBM's Watson was used to diagnose a woman with lung cancer that has been missed by three doctors. Now the technology is being used to study other type of cancer and could potentially be able to detect them on earlier stages. Now my friend will start with the literature survey.
Hello everyone, I am Bhusan Rajguru Mohapatro. A deep literature survey on AI in healthcare clearly defines the widespread use of artificial intelligence in the medical sector. Computer-assisted surgery and robotic-assisted surgical systems can be the first one to be considered. RASS has been employed in variety of surgical specialties including cardiac, gastrointestinal, gynecological, orthopedic, spine, transplant, urological and general surgeries. RASS has been divided into three categories based on the level of autonomy at which they operate. The first one is a controlled surgery under supervision. The second one is a telesurgery, and third one is a shared control surgery. In traditional surgeries, surgeons were limited to what their eyes can see. So open surgery was the only option to view the patient. But with RASS, a surgeon can execute surgeries with extreme precision by using cameras and instruments that can be placed through a small incision. The second method for assisted surgical system is called CAS, which uses a computer-based application to plan and to control the positioning of the instruments and guide them. The second application can be virtual nurse assistants for healthcare. Virtual assistants, which was primarily developed for business sectors, is now being used by healthcare operations. With the recent development in the artificial intelligence technologies such as NLP, machine learning, and neural networks, it has been made possible by the virtual assistants to use conversational systems that can mimic human speech. URMD is one of the popular platforms that compiles with the European medical device directives. It can be considered as one of the primary examples. Survey conducted in the US during the 2016 year, it has been found that 16% of total healthcare spending was completely used for non-optimized pharmacological tests. So there are AI-based applications in dosage error reduction, medication management, including enhancing medication safety, reducing dose overdoses, predicting health risks and outcomes across the large populations, thereby saving the time and money. So the fifth application can be preliminary diagnosis and prediction. In order to give patients a more accurate diagnosis and more accurate health prognosis, diagnosis services has been using health advisory information and diagnosis data for decades. With the current state of AI research, clinical trial participation is one of the application of artificial intelligence in which recipients get certain interventions depending upon the study plan and protocol that has been developed by a certain thorough investigations conducted by the researchers, primarily by the United States Food and Drug Administration and United Library of Medicines. Preliminary diagnosis and prediction of different diseases. The first one is diabetes prognosis. It uses a retinal screening, clinical decision support, predictive population risk, and patient self-management technologies to forecast diabetes. Medical imaging data is one of the most sophisticated and greatest source of information about patients. Medical imaging scan interpretation is traditionally a highly skilled manual job requiring years of training. But nowadays, using DNN and DL applications, there has been a significant improvement in the speed, accuracy, and affordability of the medical image interpretation. MIT can be used in the healthcare industry for a variety of situations, including the detection of musculoskeletal injuries, neurological illnesses, screening for common malignancies. Similarly, patient health monitoring can be done using AI-based applications. Continuous patient-based monitoring can reduce the patient's length in the hospital stay and can increase the recovery time and reduce the mortality rate. In home, PHM can provide information, instructions, and reminders for prevention of care. So monitoring of heart failure, heart diseases can be one of the application of patient health monitoring application in AI.
Myself, Soumyadeep, I will be talking about genomics, NGS, and other aspects of AI in healthcare. Genomics is a subbrand of molecular biology concerned with mapping structure and function of genomes. The differences between individual genomes are due to the unique biological DNA they are composed of. As we all know, humans are made up of 20,000 to 25,000 genes, with each gene consisting of between a few hundred to million DNA bases. With the completion of the mapping of human genome by the Human Genome Project, many new and exciting applications of genomics in the field of medicine has already been made possible. One of these applications can be seen in pharmacogenomics, which allows specialists to assign medication and corresponding doses based on the patient's genetic markers. Another aspect of genomics is CRISPR, that is clustered regularly interspaced short palindromic repeats, which allows for efficient gene modification in a variety of organisms. CRISPR-9 has aided in understanding of the disease processes through establishing genetically variable disease models that has already been made possible to treat diseases. Next generation sequencing refers to the genome sequencing technologies that began to rapidly expand in the early 2000s. Prior to this, Sanger sequencing, a type of sequencing created in 1975, was the primary technique used to sequence DNA. With the latter development of polymerase chain reaction, in addition to automated DNA sequencing using fluorescent tags, DNA sequencing became powerful enough to create the first draft of the human genome in 2001. Currently, Illumina sequencing is the most popular sequencing technology due to its accuracy, cost, and speed. Next-generation sequencing methods lie at the heart of large part of biological and medical research. Their fundamental importance has created a continuously increasing demand for processing and analysis methods of the datasets produced, addressing questions such as variant calling, metagenomic classification, and quantification. Genomic feature detection or downstream analysis in large biological or medical context. In addition to classical algorithmic approaches, machine learning techniques are often used for such tasks. In particular, deep learning methods that use multi-layered artificial neural network ANN for supervised, semi-supervised, and unsupervised learning has gained significant traction for such applications. Drug discovery. Drug discovery is a lengthy process that takes around 10 to 15 years and costs up to 2.5 billion US dollars for a drug to reach the market. It is a multi-step process that begins with the identification of suitable drug target, validation of drug target, hit to lead discovery, optimization of lead molecules, and preclinical and clinical studies. Despite the high investment and time incurred for the discovery of new drugs, the success rate through clinical trials is only 13%, with a relatively high drug attrition rate. In the majority of cases, 40 to 60%, the drug fails at the later stage. That has been reported due to lack of optimal pharmacokinetic properties on adsorption, distribution, metabolism, excretion, ADME. The use of computer-aided drug design technologies in preliminary studies by leading pharmaceutical companies and research groups has helped to expedite the drug discovery and development process, minimizing the cost and failures in the final stages.
I am Debraj. I'll be discussing various phases of designing a learning model in the healthcare field and different AI models in practice. For designing a learning model in the healthcare field, we must consider five main phases: problem definition, dataset, data pre-processing, ML model development, and evaluation. In problem definition, we try to find the purpose of designing the learning model. When designing a learning model in the healthcare field, datasets are used for training, validating, and testing. Healthcare datasets may include demographic information, images, laboratory results, genomic data, and data obtained from sensors. Data preprocessing is a process for investigating noisy data, missing values, duplication of data, and contradictory data. The purpose of this process is to increase the quality of the database before creating the learning model. Considering the type of learning scheme, we develop different ML models. In general, there are main four types of methods, including supervised learning, unsupervised learning, semi-supervised learning, and reinforcement learning. Next, we evaluate this model for different matrices and deploy it. I'll start with SVM. Uh, SVM is a supervised classifier that has been shown to be quite helpful in tackling a variety of healthcare diseases. The goal of SVM training is to discover a hyperplane that splits the training data into two classes. Support vectors are a subset of vectors from the training set. Knowing which vectors are chosen as support vectors makes the SVM decisions more understandable. Despite the fact that the hyperplane divides the data linearly, SVM SVM can also be used for solving nonlinear issues by translating the data into higher dimensional spaces where they can be linearly separated. This mapping is accomplished using kernel functions. SVM can be used for prediction of incidence of diabetes mellitus, incidence of leukemia or prostate cancer or colon cancer, also classifying gut and skin microbacteria. I'll be talking about convolutional neural network. This convolutional neural network, or CNN, relies on local connection and tied weights across the units, followed by a feature pooling to obtain transitional invariant descriptors. The basic CNN architecture consists of one convolutional and pooling layer, optionally followed by a fully connected layer and supervised prediction. In practice, CNNs are composed of more than hundreds of convolutional and pooling layers to better the model's input space. The most successful application of CNNs were observed in computer vision tasks. CNN usually require a large dataset of labeled documents to be. RNN are useful to process streams of data. They are composed by one network performing the same task for every element of sequence, with each output value dependent on the previous computation. In the original formulation, RNNs were limited to loop back only a few steps, owing to vanishing and exploding gradient. LSTM and GRU networks were addressed this problem by modeling the hidden state with cells that decide what to keep in and what to erase from the memory, given the previous state and the current memory and the input value. RNNs can be used for predictive medicine based on patient history, for de-identification of patient clinical notes, for prediction of disease onsets from longitudinal lab data. A restricted Boltzmann machine, or RBM, is a generative stochastic model that learns a probability distribution over the input space. RBMs are a variant of Boltzmann machine with the restriction that their neurons must form a bipartite graph, a pair of nodes divided in two groups, one invisible and one hidden network. And they can have a symmetric connections between them but there are no connections between nodes within a group. This restriction allows for more efficient training algorithms than the general class of Boltzmann machine. Now I'll be discussing about autoencoders. An autoencoder is an unsupervised model where the target value is equal to the input. AE are composed by a decoder which by a encoder which transforms the input to a latent representation, and by a decoder which reconstructs the input from his representation. AEs are trained to minimize the reconstructive error.
I am Sachin Vashistha and I am going to present the slide related to the future role of AI in the healthcare. Now, the artificial intelligence has a very important role to play in the healthcare sector. Artificial intelligence can mainly help the healthcare sector in two ways. As you can see in the slide, the two ways are using artificial intelligence to automate the task of healthcare workers, and second is using artificial intelligence to augment the task of the healthcare workers. Now, in this first point, using artificial intelligence to automate the task of the healthcare workers, in this, there are many repetitive administrative tasks in the healthcare sector, like updating the patient medical records, scheduling the patient appointments, sending the appointment reminders to the patients. So these type of repetitive tasks can be easily automated by the artificial intelligence, which can help a lot to the healthcare workers. We are going to shift from one size fit all healthcare system to a more personalized kind of healthcare system in the future. Now, in case of this personalized healthcare kind of system, these artificial intelligence systems can be helpful in assisting the patients to decide the order of treatment by assigning the weightage of urgency factor to wounds or illness. This order of the treatment is also called triage in the medical. Now, the second point is to augment the task of the healthcare workers. Augmentation means to add to whatever knowledge which the healthcare workers have, whatever knowledge the doctors have already. Like we can make use of the electronic health records. These electronic health records record the patient medical history. So all the data about a patient medical history is available to us in electronic form. This data can be utilized by the electronic health records. This data can be used to train the artificial intelligence model to make predictions about about various to make predictions about various medical treatments. For example, the artificial intelligence can be helpful in predicting the best treatment to a patient suffering from a particular disease like breast cancer or Alzheimer disease. The important point here to discuss is that how the artificial intelligence in the healthcare sector in India is working, the current scenario as well as the future scenario. As mentioned in the slides, Niti Aayog has sponsored a project which involves use of artificial intelligence to detect diabetes conditions in early stages for the primary care. Same kind of approach is also used by the Singapore government to help maintain the health of the pre-diabetic patients.
We have done a implementation of molecular classification of cancer by gene expression monitoring using MLP, SVM, logistic regression, and decision tree. So the drive link is as follows. Thank you all. These are our references. Kindly go through that.